Hello, it is Marissa. I was actually asked by my office to do a Canva class. So I created a three-part series and we are doing a beginner Canva workshop. It probably will have already happened by the time that this goes up, but I wanted to create this video for anyone else who is not in my office or anyone who couldn't make it so that they can follow along. I am in love with Canva, and I know that a lot of real estate agents want to learn more about Canva and they just don't know where to start. So, hopefully, this video is helpful for you. It is going to be a beginner level. So, there will be, of course, some tips and tricks along the way, but we are going to be creating a listing post from a template today in Canva. So, if you do not have a Canva account, no problem. We are going to set one up right now. And if you don't have Canva Pro, you can also still follow this tutorial because everything I am going to be using is a free feature. So you will not need really anything to start this tutorial. And this is a very beginner as it gets. So we are going to come over here and do sign up if you do not currently have an account and you're just going to input all the information that it asks of you. I would recommend starting with the free account if you do not currently have Canva at all and just seeing if it fits your needs. And then you can move to Canva Pro if that does not fit your needs. Asta wants to be in the video too, she said. What is she doing? She's like crawling on me. Anyways, so we're going to go ahead and log into Canva. And she is going to scratch my back right now. So we are in Canva now. And first thing we are going to do is I'm going to take you over to the settings. So you click on your profile, go to settings, and then if you went to billing and plans, that would be where you could change if you wanted a free account or a paid account. Now, the paid account is currently about $120 a year, and I definitely get my money's worth with that. I use Canva literally every day, and it is super important to my real estate business. So if you find that you maybe the free version isn't cutting it and you're wondering if Pro is really worth it, it's worth it. So you're going to have access to a lot more features. So that is how you would go and change that. And if you click the Canva logo in the left-hand corner, it is going to bring you back to home. So first we are going to set up our folder for our listing photos so that we have them all organized in one nice space. So we're going to come over to projects and click on that. And then we can pop into folders. Now I have a ton of different folders in here. I'm going to do add new folder. And then I'm going to name it 123 Main Street. You could name this if you actually do have a listing right now. You could name it your listing. Otherwise, you can go along with my example and do 123 Main Street. Continue. Now it says that it's created. We're going to go ahead and open it and we are going to upload to it. So we're going to do add new upload. And in my photos, I have a folder for an example listing, and I'm just going to select all of those photos and upload it. Now, depending on your Wi-Fi, this could take a little bit of time. Otherwise, it could be really super fast. And we're just going to let those upload for a second here. And you can click out of this and they will still upload. So we are going to go ahead and set up our design now while these upload. So we're going to come up to the purple create a design and we're going to click on that. And today we are going to do a Instagram post. There's going to be a portrait option or a square option, and we are going to do the square option. So this will go ahead and open. Sorry, I'm having brain farts today. So if any of this is like all over the place, that would be why. And now we're going to rename our design. So I'm just going to call this example workshop. You could call it Canva workshop, listing post, anything you want. So we're going to go up there and rename it. Now everything is going to auto save, which is so incredibly nice. You can check the status up here. It'll say all changes saved. If you lose internet connection, it will say paused or unsaved changes, and then you'll know that there is a problem and you maybe need to go put the plug back in that your cat's knocked out for the Wi-Fi. That happens a lot, actually. Now we're going to go find our template. It is actually right here, but I'm going to show you what we're going to be searching for. we're going to search house for sale. You are looking for a brown and white template that looks like this. If you don't find it, it's called Neutral Modern House Sale Instagram Post. So, and it's by Bold Vision Design. So if you cannot find it there and you want to follow along, try typing in some of that first. And then we're going to click it to input it into our design. And now we are going to duplicate this design. So we're going to click this button right here with the 2 things in the plus. If we just click this other one on the right side, it's just going to do a blank page. And I like to do duplicate pages so that I can reference back and see if I'm kind of staying within the bounds of the design. If I've gone too far and I'm like, wow, this really looks awful, I really, want to reference square one, then I could go back and reference it. And you can always delete this page when you're done. But then I could rename the page and do like final design. If that helps you stay organized, you can rename your pages. That's just another nice little trick that they have. And then first thing we're going to do is delete the room descriptions just because I don't like them. So we're going to delete them. You could keep them if you want, but I'm going to show you how to select multiple things. So we click on living room, and if you hold down shift and click the rectangle and then you click everything else, the words and the rectangles, it will have everything selected then for you. So that's how you multi-select things. And then I'm going to click delete to delete all of those. I believe you can also click backspace, but I just tend to use delete most of the time. So we have done that now, and we are going to change the beautiful house for sale to our property address. So because I'm just using 123 Main Street, for example, that's what I'm going to put in there. And we're going to leave it just like that. And then we are going to go and change the font. So I could just click like this. And if it's only changing like one word or something like that, just make sure you have everything selected. So you might need to come out and click it like this, or you could double click it and select everything. But my favorite is to be in here with the cursor in there, and then you do Control or Command A, and that's going to select everything. So we're going to come up here. This is our font type, and we are going to search for sans serif. Now, what we have right here is called a serif font because it has these little legs on it, and the sans serif are going to be really like monoline. So that's just an example. We could search serif font too up here, and we'll give you all the serif fonts. Or we could search cursive, and it will give you a bunch of different cursive fonts. So you can search by like font type too. It doesn't have to be like a specific font. So we're going to come back in here, do sans serif, and I am using Collectif. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but we're using Collectif for our font today. You can use whatever you want, but for the sake of the example, I'm going to be using Collectif. So if you see the arrow next to it, that is going to mean that it's part of a font family. So if you just do the arrow down, it will give you a regular option, a bold option, maybe there's an italic option. Sometimes they have a whole bunch of options like this one, and sometimes they only have 2. So we are going to change this to Collectif Bold because we want the address to be nice and bold. And then we are going to make this all caps. So instead of deleting everything and putting the caps lock on and doing it in all caps, there's actually a shortcut up here where you can just do uppercase. So we're going to use that shortcut right at the top toolbar to change that. And then if we wanted to change the font size, we can either drag it, which is one of my favorite ways to change the font size, or we could come over here and we could do the up and down arrows, or we could just come in here and put a number in. So a couple different options there. I personally, like I said, like the dragging one. And now we are going to change the rest of the fonts to Collectif. So I'm going to click on starting from, and it should show your recent fonts in here. So recently used, it should say Collectif in here, document fonts it actually has. So I'm going to do Collectif regular for everything else, and my little toolbar from my screen recording is in the way, but you should see this purple change all button, and that is going to change every font that was Montserrat to Collectif. Also don't know if I'm saying Montserrat correctly. Anyways, it's going to change all those. So we're going to delete this address right here. and this is a totally different font. So that's why I didn't change it, because it's only changing Montserrat to Collectif. So since this one is Cardo, it's not gonna do anything with it. So we're gonna change that one to Collectif regular. And now I'm going to move everything up to get it in place for the headshot that's going to go right here. So we're going to delete this house icon and then the Lorana ink also. And if you wanted to select all of these things and you don't want to spend time just like clicking through, you can go off the page and just pull select all of them like that. I really like that as well. And we're going to bring them up just a little bit and use the arrow keys just so I can get really particular about where I want everything. And then we are going to have that portion done. I'm actually going to bring this up a little bit too. Okay, now we are going to input our headshot. So I'm going to go over to elements and I'm going to search for a frame. So now we see frames. This is a whole category. So frames, graphics, photos, video, audio. We are going to do see all. And now we can see all of the frames that they have. You could pick whichever one you want. They have a lot of different shapes. Some have outlines. But today we are going to go with a really basic circle. So you could either drag this into your design or you could click it. I pretty much just click it most of the time. And then you can resize it with the arrows on the side, the diagonal arrows. So we're just going to drag this into place right here. I'm going to kind of have it line up. You'll see these guides over here. I'm going to line it up with all of these things on the left and then make it maybe just a little bit bigger. And now we are going to upload just a single photo. So your uploads, these are going to be all of your single photos. They're not really organized by a folder or anything like that, but you can organize them with a folder if you want. So I would come over here and I am going to find headshots. And so I have a whole bunch of headshots in here, and I could pull in this one, let's say, and I can just drag and drop. That's what I usually do. Otherwise, you could do the purple upload files, but I like to drag and drop. It's just so easy. And now instead of clicking this one in like this, we can actually just pull it into the circle. And if you pull it like this and it's still just a rectangle, it's just going to pop up as a rectangle. But if you pull it to like the outside part of the circle, you'll see it kind of populate in there. And that's exactly what you want. So now it'll be within the frame. And you're like, okay, well, my head's kind of cut off. That's a problem. You can double click in here and you can adjust the photo within the frame. So we'll double click and now we can move it down or we can make it bigger, and it's just going to crop it within the frame. And then if we want to save that, we could either do done or we could just click out. So now we have our headshot in there. And now we are going to pull this really great site over and we're going to use this as our name and contact information. So I'm just going to pull it over until I like where the edge of this text box is. And then I'm going to do left align. So up here, I'm just going to change that until it's left aligned. And then I'm going to double click in and put my name, Miss Miller, Realtor. And I could come down here and start putting my contact information. And I want it to be all lowercase, actually. I just like it like that. Okay. Next, I am going to make just this second row a little bit smaller. So I'm going to come up here, just select my second row, and then I'm going to change the font size just by using the arrows. So I can do that. And then we're going to drag it up so that we make sure it's in the center. And now we are going to put our logo in there. So I actually have the logo right over here in headshots, and I can go ahead and pull this in. And if I wanted this to be white like the rest of my text that I have in here, I can actually do that. So when I click on this rectangle, it'll show like I have a color, but when it's an image, it'll look like you cannot change the color, but you can. There's a little hack. So you're going to go to edit photo and find effects, and then you're going to find duotone. So you're going to click on duotone, and you can click any one of these, it doesn't matter. And we are going to change the highlights and the shadows to be the same color, whatever color we want. you could put the hex number in here if you know it. So for example, let me just see if I have like a brand color. If I hover over the top of it, it's going to give me that number right there. So I could go ahead and write that down and those 6 digits. And then when I come over and do duotone, I could change it to exactly what my brand color is, even if it doesn't pop up as an option. So that's something that you could do. And now we are going to change the colors of everything. So this brown is going to go, and I'm going to put in my blue. So I'm using this dark blue, and I can also do change all for these, but since there's not that many, I'm just going to do it manually. And now we have our brown changed to blue. I'm also going to change the font to blue. And now we have that. Another thing is duplicating things. So if I wanted to, we have this text underneath here, each office is independently owned and operated, but some of our logos do not have that on there. So actually what I can do is hold down the Alt key and then I'll double click and move this text. So now I have a duplicate of this text right here. And I use that a lot because it gives me the same sizing and the same font. I'll get to shortcuts at some point during the end, but you could also just do T for text shortcut. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But I'm going to delete that because my logo already has that in there. And I think I want to keep pretty much everything else the same. So now we have changed the colors and everything. And now we're going to customize with our photos. So what we did earlier with putting our photos into a folder, this is where it's really going to come in handy. Because if I just put them all in uploads, they're going to get so lost. I mean, look at how much stuff I have in here. You're going to be scrolling for days. So you'll thank me later. This is one of my favorite new hacks that I have been using. We'll go to projects and then we'll click on folders and you will see all of your folders that you've made in here, and we'll click on 123 Main Street, and now all of our photos are in one nice place and we don't have to be scrolling for days. So that's super nice. And we are going to change this big picture to my primary photo, and then I'm going to do 2 interior photos for the bottom one. So it doesn't matter, whichever ones you want to choose, go ahead and switch your photos out just like that. And now we are going to add a little bit of pizzazz to this. You could just use this, and this is perfect, but we are going to go one step farther so that I can show you a couple more tips. So we're going to take our primary photo and we're going to drag it until it covers the entire design like that and drop it in there. And now you're going to notice that, hey, it's covering half of my stuff. That's an issue. So we're going to go to position, and you could either use these arrange buttons to send it to the back, send it to the front, whatever you want to do. But I really like using layers because I can see exactly what it's in front of and I can drag it exactly where I want it to be. So I am going to drag it just in front of the white background. So now it's in front of everything except for my white background. Now I could change the transparency like this and we could have a nice white background, and that would be super cool because now we can see our text and there's a little bit of picture peeking through. It just gives a little bit more dimension. But another thing that we could do is make it a dark theme. So it's kind of like on your phone when you have like light mode and dark mode. We could go and click this white, and I'm going to change it to the dark blue that I have for everything else. And now it's going to make it dark. And the only thing I can't really see very well is my address and my descriptive bullet points. So I'm just going to go over here and change those to white. And now we have a pretty cool design too. And we could change this transparency up here however we want. If we want it to be a little bit lighter or a little bit darker, we can go ahead and adjust that right there. So that is pretty much it for your listing post. We are going to, just kidding. I lied, just kidding. I have bullet points over here. I have notes that are like step-by-step that I'm going to be going through when I actually do this workshop in person so that I don't forget everything or anything, I mean. And we're just going to do one last thing, which is really going to elevate it a whole lot. So we're going to click on our photo and do edit photo. Now this is going to kind of be where we found duotone, but we're going to click on shadows instead. and we're just going to do a drop shadow. You can change the color of the drop shadow. So if you wanted it to be that same blue, you could change it like that. But I'm just going to actually keep it black, and I'm going to keep all the default settings. So then I'm going to go over to the rest of my photos, and I am going to add a drop shadow to those as well. It might take a second. And now it looks pretty cool. I am going to drag this so that make sure it covers those corners and that we've got everything covered. So now we have some pretty cool dimensional pictures on there. So that's another thing that you could use is shadows as well. So now I'm going to show you the shortcuts, and then I'm going to show you how to save your design, because that part is obviously really important. So I'm going to go over here and just do a blank page. I'm actually just going to do white background because it's easier to show you on. So these are going to be my favorite and most used shortcuts. You can just click out of this design actually, and it will know like what page you're on, and you're going to click L. That's going to give you a line. So you can change this line. It'll tell you the degrees that it's at. So if you want to be straight up and down, you can do 90 degrees. If you want it to be, horizontal, it can be 0 degrees. And then you can change the line style up here. You could have a thicker line, or you can have a thin line. Another thing you could do is make it like dashed or dots, and then you can also round the endpoints. So if I wanted it to be a nice round line, I could click on that round endpoints. I actually never use these, but I guess you could do like a line start as well. So you could do something like that if you wanted to, and change how it ends. You could have something different if you really wanted to. I never really use those, but that is kind of a nice feature. We're going to go ahead and delete that. Now we're going to click on the letter C for a circle. And it's just going to give us this circle right here that's, it's not an oval or anything like that. We can actually like make it an oval though. So it'll tell you what your dimensions are, your width and your height. So if you wanted to make that back into a square, I mean, personally, I would probably just delete it and do a circle again. And you can also have a border on these, but sometimes, okay, that time it works, but sometimes when you click a border on like a rounded shape and it's not a rectangle, it will do the border around this entire like rectangle right here. So just be a little careful with that, but that's pretty cool that it will give you around what you actually want it for. And then you can change your border color as well. So you could change your border color to this light blue, and then we can have this green. That's probably not the best example because you can't see, but you can see a little bit that now you have a border around that circle, and you can change the color of your circle. Then we're going to do R for rectangle. I use this one a whole lot, especially when I am like covering my entire design like this, and then changing the transparency to make words on a photo more legible or something like that. So your rectangle is also going to show up as a square, but then you can make it an actual rectangle if you want, and rotate it, do whatever you want, add borders, change the color. So I do use that one quite a bit. T is going to be for text, so we can put any text we want right here, and then we could go ahead and change the font. That's just a lot nicer to me. I honestly never come over here and do text at a text box. I find it so much easier to just do the T shortcut. Now, if we put something in here and we change, interesting. Oh, it's a group. That's why. I was like, why is it only letting me change one? We're going to make this a little bit different, I guess, so that we can see the difference. And then I'm going to put a circle behind it, I suppose. And I'm just going to show you how to undo things. So now we've got this circle in here. This is actually probably not the best example because I don't want it to look like I deleted it. Okay, so now we have that circle back there. If we were like, oh, I really preferred it in the front so that you couldn't see the words, you can do Control or Command if you are on a Mac, and you'll just do Control or Command Z, and that will undo. So if we keep clicking it, it will undo all of our changes that we just did and bring us back to square one. Another thing that I use a lot is, like I said, holding down the Alt, double clicking, dragging, duplicating things. And then you can also copy and paste. So you click on this, and then we are going to do Control or Command C, and then we're going to click somewhere else, control or command V, and that's going to paste it. So I use copy, paste, undo literally all the time. It is so helpful, all of these Canva shortcuts. So now we are just going to delete this one too. And now we've got our main design that we want to save, and we're going to go ahead and save it. So we're going to click on share, download, and I usually like to save it as a PNG. You can save it as a bigger file, whatever you want. So you can save it as a PDF, JPEG. It gives you lots of options. But I personally like to save it as a PNG, and then you have to make sure you click the purple download button one more time, and it's going to show your download status. And then once it is fully downloaded, it's going to pop up and show you that it is downloaded. And then you can go into your File Explorer and email it to yourself or post it directly from your computer. I personally like to email it to myself because I like to make posts off of my phone. So that is pretty much all you have to do. And now that you have done this, you can go into designs. And if you wanted to make anything else, you could come in here and search for a checklist. And so we could put this one in here. Let's say we really like this one. Then we could go and do the process again where we duplicate it, and maybe it's like a home buying checklist or something like that. We could switch out this photo in the background, but we can keep the design kind of intact so that you don't have to start from scratch. So pretty much anything else you want to make based off of a template, you should be able to make now. So I hope you really enjoyed this workshop and tutorial, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.